Good morning. I'm Bruce Ratner, Chairman of the Board of Trustees of the Museum of Jewish Heritage, a living memorial to the Holocaust. On this Yom HaShoah, the Day of Remembrance of the Holocaust, we welcome you to the museum for the press preview of this exhibition, Auschwitz, Not Long Ago, Not Far Away. First, I'd like to thank our colleagues of the staff of the museum, led by our leader, Jack Klieger, our CEO. They are superb. When you see this exhibit, you will understand the amount of work that went into it. I'd like to thank our Spanish partners, Musealia, led by Luis Ferrero and Jose Magico, and also our Auschwitz-Birkenau Memorial Museum, led by, actually he's not going to be able to be here today, Pierre Sawinski, and Chief Historian Dr. Pietro Setkovich. We thank you and your hardworking team, and of course, Ronald Lauder. You have been superb, you have been helpful, you have created the Auschwitz-Birkenau Museum as we know it today. We welcome you here and we appreciate all of your support. And our curator, Robert Jan van Pelt, who's right over here, we thank you for all your extraordinary work here. A little over a year ago, our board vice chairman and my dear friend George Klein, who is with us today, told me about an extraordinary exhibition at Madrid about Auschwitz. Within a few weeks, I, along with Abe Foxman, also a board vice chairman and a former director of the Anti-Defamation League, went to Madrid and we met the director of the museum, Musealia, Luis Ferrero, who along with the Auschwitz-Birkenau Museum created this exhibition. Abe and I went through the exhibit, and as we finished, we were in tears. The impact was profound. I had lost many relatives in Auschwitz, and Abe is a survivor and was a hidden child during the war. This exhibit of over 700 objects and artifacts and 400 photographs told not only the history of the Holocaust and the origins of Nazi Germany, but describes how this darkest moment in our history happened. At a time when anti-Semitism and hate and bigotry directed at Jews and directed at so many other racial, religious, and other groups should have been gone and past, we find that we need to again be vigilant and ready for, page lost here. We find we must be vigilant in every kind of way. I lost my page here, I apologize. We need to redouble our efforts to educate particularly young people about the Holocaust. That is why Auschwitz, Not Long Ago and Not Far Away, is so important. While part of our mission is to never forget, it is also to mourn for the victims and understand their tragedy, their lives cut short, the resistance both spiritual and physical. It is also to remind us that the human spirit can and will persevere with hope for a better future. And we learn from this exhibition that we cannot be bystanders. It is our sacred obligation to educate. That we can all do. And that is what our First Amendment partners, you, can help us do, and you do so well. I repeat, we cannot be bystanders. As you go through the exhibition, you will ask yourself, how could this have happened? And how could so many have been so indifferent? The now well-known German Lutheran theologian Friedrich Niemöller, quote, stares at you on the second floor wall, and it answers that question. First, they came for the socialists, and I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. And then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. And then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak for me. And so you, the media, must continue to speak out. And that is all of our sacred obligation. So thank you all for joining us today, and we are very happy to have this exhibition. You will find it impactful. I went through it last night, and it again is extraordinary. You need to take the time, the detail, and the accuracy of this exhibit is extraordinary. This business about fake news is not anywhere near this place. Thank you all very much. We encourage you, by the way, to visit our website. We will take questions in groups afterwards. We're not going to take questions directly to the speakers. Thank you very much.
Thank you all very much for coming. I am Luis Ferreiro, the director of Musealia, of the company that created the exhibition in partnership with the, now it's better, with the Auschwitz-Birkenau State Museum. So the first thing that I need to do is thank you all very much for coming and thank our partners, the Auschwitz-Birkenau State Museum, all the more than 20 museums, institutions all over the world, and private collection survivors that have loaned artifacts to the exhibition. We have also here representatives of some of them, like the Anne Frank House in Amsterdam or Yad Vashem. I especially need to thank our team of curators that have created all the knowledge that you're just about to see in a few minutes, and very especially, of course, our hosting partner and museum. What you are going to see here is actually something very special, because it's not that we just brought the exhibition that Bruce mentioned in Madrid. We have actually worked with them very closely in order to be able to incorporate around 100 artifacts from their collection into the exhibition. So it's actually something unique that we will not be able actually to replicate elsewhere. I also have to explain, because I always get usually the same question about why is a Spanish company doing this particular exhibition. So I very briefly have to explain that we have been creating exhibitions for the past 20 years. We are a small company, and 10 years ago, actually, my brother, who was part of the company, died of a sudden heart attack. And I was given 1 year later this book, very short book by Viktor Frankl, Man in Search of Meaning. And by reading this book is where I got the inspiration to create, the vision to create an exhibition that could tell the story of Auschwitz. Hannah Arendt used to, I think she wrote that when an event is introduced in the universe of things that exist, the possibilities of this event repeating grow exponentially. So Auschwitz existed. We will see here fragments, objects from the camp. You will see the whole narrative that explains the road to Auschwitz. And therefore, I was looking just now when we were sitting here to the subtitle of the exhibition, not long ago, not far away. And if we twist it a little bit, we can also ask ourselves, what does it mean for us today, the existence of Auschwitz? Not long ago and not far away, but right here, right now. What does this mean to us? All this hatred, all this fanatism, anti-Semitism. We know where bigotry and fanatism takes. We know this road, we can see, and it takes different shapes and forms nowadays, but it's actually the same. So with that, I would like to introduce somebody that needs no presentation, which is Rowan Lowther, that has also helped so much, not only the Auschwitz-Birkenau State Museum, but also this endeavor. And I very much also would like to mention all the staff from the Jewish Heritage Museum that has worked with us so much. Jack Klieger, especially I want to name Bruce Ratner, George Klein, and all the staff from the museum, from operations to collections, that has made possible the exhibition that you're just about to see. So thank you very much, and Ron, the stage is yours.
Thank you. Today I'm wearing two hats. First, as president of Auschwitz-Birkenau Foundation, and secondly, as the president of the World Jewish Congress. First, Auschwitz-Birkenau. I first came there in 1987, and it was in a state of ruins. I then brought in conservators from the Metropolitan Museum Egyptian Wing. And for the next year and a half, we worked. We made sure that the barbed wire was there, that the hair stayed, did not disintegrate, that the eyeglasses and the children's things did not fall apart. We made sure that the suitcases, which all had addresses on them and were never returned, were made strong. All the different pylons, which had steel inside, over the years were breaking, and we put a special thing on the cement to keep the cement together. Today, when you come to Auschwitz, you see it not like it was in 1987, but what it was like in 1945. And we have millions and millions of people come there and bear witness to what happened. There's nothing we can do but let people see the horror of Auschwitz. And as president of the World Jewish Congress, I must tell you, we are fighting anti-Semitism every day. We're fighting it, and the question is why. In the 1950s, 60s, and 70s, when the world saw the horrors of Auschwitz, there was no anti-Semitism because nobody wanted to be associated with the Nazis. And then, 3 generations later, today, 80 years later, we find out that in countries after country after country, young people don't know about the Holocaust. They don't understand what went happen. We did one survey, frankly, in Germany, where 70% of the school children did not know about the Holocaust. What does that say? And the only way to defeat anti-Semitism is through education. And one of the things we are working on now, we call the Auschwitz Pledge, is that what we will do is work in a special package that every year on January 27th, we will have teaching about the Holocaust and what it means. That won't stop anti-Semitism, but at least it will be a strong factor to curb it, because the fact for the first time, children will understand the horrors of Auschwitz, and no longer can they pretend of the great things that Hitler or Mussolini or anyone else did. And this is an important aspect, especially when today there is a great deal of populism going out throughout Europe, and it's something that we have to fight. I must tell you, this exhibition is spectacular. We've never done an exhibition like this, and I thank the museum very, very much for bringing it, and I thank Spain very, very much for helping to put it together. You have places with many things. Look at the children's shoes, look at the things, understand the pictures when you see them coming in of what life was like and what it is today. And we are doing everything we can to bring back life to these places. But it's extremely hard, and it's even harder because of anti-Semitism. But the Jewish world is alive and well in Europe. Thank you very much.
My name is Robert Jan van Pelt, a Dutch name, but I come from Canada, and I would like to welcome you here on behalf of the team of curators, Jamel Zaniti, with the great hair, Paul Sammons, where is Paul? Where? Over there, Paul Sammons, who are here, Michael Birnbaum and Miriam Greenbaum and myself. Now, whatever we have to say as curators is in the exhibition. So I will leave it up to you to discover my message, our message. But one of the important things that Louis already referred to is that the exhibition here is very different from the original exhibition in Madrid. This is not only because of the very different venue that we have here, but also because we explicitly were asked and we wanted to create an exhibition that speaks to New York and to New Yorkers. So the first thing was to basically go through the absolutely remarkable collection that this museum has, and we found absolute treasures. And so we included those treasures inside our exhibition, as far, of course, as they in some way were speaking to the narrative that we had developed. It's not only this museum that we collaborated with, but also the Ahmud Eish Museum in Brooklyn. This is a museum on the Holocaust that is more geared towards the Orthodox community. And in fact, I would like to say that the key artifact in this whole exhibition, which is in one of the last rooms, a room that is about resistance and persistence in Auschwitz, focuses on one particular artifact from their collection. It is a talit katan. It is a piece, a kind of a shirt that religious Jewish men wear under their outer shirt. And this is an object that was used by a citizen of Oswiecim, that is the Jewish town that became Auschwitz during the war, named Mendel Landau. Of course, when he arrived in Auschwitz as a prisoner, Mendel Landau, like all other prisoners, was completely stripped and shaved and tattooed. And in some way, the Germans aimed to basically make him into a number, to take away his identity, to make him also forget who he was. And when in 1944, a transport of Hungarian Jews arrived that year, 450,000 Hungarian Jews were sent to Auschwitz, he noticed that a man who had not yet been stripped of his clothing was wearing this talit katan. And Mendel Landau asked this man, as he was passing him, if he could borrow this garment so that he could say a prayer appropriately dressed. An SS guard, so the man gave him his talit katan, and an SS guard then noticed Mendel Landau doing his prayers and beat him almost to death. So the SS man took the talit katan and threw it in the barbed wire. And that was not the end of the story, because Mendel Landau went back to retrieve the talit katan, again at risk of dying, to return it to the owner. And the owner didn't want to have it anymore, because he saw the incredible risk that ownership of this particular garment brought with it. And so then Mendel kept the talit and used it for the rest of his stay in Auschwitz, and also brought it on the death march and ultimately to New York. And so there are many ways that you can interpret this particular garment. Certainly, I think it speaks to the importance of what is actually available in New York, both what's available in collections today, but also since New York received so many survivors of the Holocaust. I still believe that there's an enormous amount of knowledge, of artifacts in the New York Jewish collection that in some way we might access if we are able to bring the story of Auschwitz and the importance of such artifacts, which are somewhere hidden in closets, and people think they're not important, to the survivors and the children of survivors in this community. The other point, of course, of this talit katan refers back to what Ron Lauder referred to, and that is basically the remarkable survival of the Jewish people over 2,000 years. The Jews are the only people of antiquity that in some way still exists in the form and shape and in the character as it already had 2,000 years ago. And it was thanks to people like Mendel Landau who persisted in basically following their commandments and to enacting the devotions, also in the most difficult circumstances like Auschwitz, that this people still exists. So it's in that spirit that I welcome you to this exhibition.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. My name is Paweł Sawicki. I'm the main coordinator of the exhibition in the Auschwitz Memorial, and Piotr Cewiński, the director, was supposed to speak here, but he had a very painful slip while walking to the taxi. He is on his way. I hope that there will be this suspense moment where he'll enter at the very end, but unfortunately he is still on his way, so I need to speak about this exhibition, Auschwitz, not long ago, not far away. When you look at this gate, there are over 2 million people going through this gate every year. Over 2 million people from all over the world visit the Auschwitz Memorial. And on one hand, we can be very happy. The most visited museum in Poland, so many people from all around the world learn this story. But on the other hand, we can say there are billions of people who will never be able to come and see the authentic site of Auschwitz, the site of enormous human tragedy. And this exhibition is one of the great tools that we can use thanks to help of the Musealia that came with this idea, thanks to the international curators, thanks to the Museum of Jewish Heritage, who is giving its welcome to the exhibition here. And I can say that when several years ago we were exchanging the first emails about this exhibition, I never thought that I would be speaking and see the Statue of Liberty in the fog today from the window and announcing the Auschwitz exhibition in New York. This is a very powerful moment. And when people come through those gates, they usually encounter the end of a long process of human suffering. Because when they come to Auschwitz, they concentrate on gas chambers and selection and death, and they usually spend so much time at the end of the process. And we really need to remember that Auschwitz and this gate and the gas chambers were at the end. It started from words, from ideology, from hatred, from human idea that one can hate others so much that building Auschwitz is possible. It took, we can say, just 10 years or less than 10 years if we talk about the Third Reich. And this exhibition, in a profound way, shows this process, because we start much, much earlier than just to start talking about the creation of Auschwitz in 1940. We have the story of the town, we have the story of Nazi earlier anti-Semitism, Nazi anti-Semitism, then state-sponsored hatred, anti-Semitism, persecution of so many different people. And I think this is a great value of the exhibition, which is enhanced by the authenticity we were able to bring here. With all those objects, not only from the Auschwitz Memorial, and majority of the objects here are from our collections, but so many other institutions and private people decided to give, and sometimes it's a very difficult decision to leave something so precious from your own personal drawer or a wall and give it to the exhibition, that it can speak together with all the other objects in this huge chorus of voices. And when we talk about education at the Auschwitz Memorial, we basically work on three pillars: remembrance, awareness, and responsibility. Remembrance, in a way, is simple. We come, we learn facts, dates, numbers, we know what happened. What happened in Auschwitz, what happened in German-occupied Europe, what was the result of those millions and millions of people who suffered and died. Then we have awareness, why it happened. What was the reason why people behaved this way? What was the reason why people developed this systematic hatred? Why they decided to do it? And that's a little bit more difficult. The most difficult part in the educational process is the question of responsibility, what it means to us today. And this exhibition, Auschwitz, not long ago, not far away, is also asking this question to all the visitors who will go through those 3 floors, going up from the beginning to the end, to the gas chamber and the liberation. And I think this is something very profound. We're here in Manhattan on the 85th Street in 1902. There was a Dutch-American Jewish-born Eddie Hamel, who as a teenager went to Amsterdam. He started playing in Ajax Amsterdam. He scored 8 goals in 125 league games, the first Jewish and first American player in this team. And in 1943 he was deported to Auschwitz, and 2 days ago was the anniversary of his death in 1943. So there's also this links of so many personal stories and personal tragedies. And I think this exhibition with all those authentic items go into those individual tragedies that speak so loudly to us. And I think whenever I end a guided tour at the Auschwitz Memorial, I tell my visitors one thing. I mean, when you leave this place, ask yourself one basic and important question. You know this story, you learn about this tragedy, and now ask yourself this question: what can I do today to make our world a little bit better and a little bit safer place? Because this is our obligation, not only to look at Auschwitz as a historical place, but also look at this place as a challenge of responsibility for us today. Because, and this is the quote from my director who already spoke, said this sentence yesterday at the opening, because our responsibility today is exactly the same as not long ago and not far away. Thank you very much. My name is Paweł Sawicki. If the Polish spelling might help, S-A-W-I-C-K-I-P-A-W-E-L.
Wonderful. Then thank you so very much. We are now going to go into the exhibition. Audio tours will be available. It's a very important part of the exhibition. I understand that probably you don't have the time to take the 2-hour tours that take the audio tour. We have the international team of curators available for questions there, and also members from the museum and from myself and other people. So thank you all very much.